This is Life Admin Life Hacks, a podcast that gives you techniques, tips and tools to tackle your life admin more efficiently, to save your time, your money and improve your household harmony.
I'm Dinah Rowe Roberts, a commercial and strategy executive who didn't realise how much admin there is in a small business until we started our own.
I'm Mia Northrop, a researcher and writer who Googled, are creative people more disorganised? And let's just say this is another topic where the internet is very divided.
This episode, we interview Lee Doherty, online business manager and strategist.
Hello, and welcome to Life Admin Life Hacks. This is our final episode for Season 6, and as is our usual way, we'll be taking a short break and returning later on in the year with more episodes. We hope you've enjoyed the last 10 eps as much as we have in creating them.
Please use this time to explore our podcast archives. Subscribe to our newsletter on lifeadminlifehacks.com, which will keep you on top of your life admin game. And of course, read our book, Life Admin Hacks, available at all good bookstores and the usual online suspects.
Okay, so, Dine, our recent Australian survey revealed that freelancers, entrepreneurs, small business owners are increasingly overwhelmed by life admin because in addition to the burden of the business admin, they also have to manage the personal admin. And for many of you out there, it's a blurry mess and you're trying to keep on top of it all, and it's either robbing you of the joy of your business or obliterating any time you have for leisure and self-care.
So in this episode, we reached out to an administration professional, Lee Doherty, and we chat with her about that the same approaches work for both business admin and life admin, and that it's best to schedule in time for self-care if you want to realise the dream of the flexibility and freedom of working for yourself. And outsourcing, it really is the key tool to help keep your passion for your business alive. If you run your own business or side hustle, this episode's for you.
Lee Doherty is the founder of Admin & Co., a market leader in the outsourcing of everything administration. As a senior administration expert with over 30 years' experience, Lee runs a team of online business managers and virtual assistants. She supports small business owners to become future-focused, less overwhelmed, less stressed, and to get back in the control seat of their business. She reviews, then does, then manages the tasks that small business owners shouldn't be doing, don't know how to do, or have time to do, so that they're free to focus on the income and revenue tasks to grow their business. Lee is both a hand holder and a doer. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
One of the things I loved on your website, there was a sentence that said, you want your evenings and weekends back and spend time with your family and friends. And I think whether you're drowning in small business admin or life admin, we can all relate to that statement.
Definitely. It's one of my keys is when people come to work with me is my goals is for them is to actually get back loving their business, but also getting time back. And it's not just about, I know we just said the statement about, generating more income. It's actually about creating a better life for yourself, not being working all the time, coming home, putting the dinner on, putting the kids to bed, and then having to jump on to do more work, do the admin that you didn't get to do during the day. It's really important that, if we're running our own businesses, that we actually enjoy what we do. And, we should be creating businesses that work around our lives, not around us living to work, basically. So, yeah, that's one of my goals for people that I work with.
And we're going to explore how you help people do that. It occurred to us that we've interviewed many subject matter experts during our 5 seasons, but you're actually the first administration professional we've had on the show. So we're really excited to tap into your expertise today.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it is been quite a challenging career, I suppose, working in admin. There's been admin work that I've done that's been very structured. It's been done the same way for the 20 years, and you just have to just go, which is quite boring. But coming, 30 years on the tools, as we would say, it's an exciting time for admin. We've got a lot of systems and automations that come in with the processes. So basically, I have learnt through the journey that I'm inherently lazy. My skills with admin and organisation have basically come from me going, there's got to be a quicker way to do this. There's got to be a better way to do this. I can't spend the rest of, 5 days a week doing this way sort of thing. So, yeah, the best organisers are probably the laziest people in the world, I would say, inherently. So, yeah, I'm stepping into my power of being lazy.
I think that's an awesome insight, Lee, because I think often people think that they're lazy because they don't do things. But I think sometimes being lazy inspires you to find the quickest way to sort things out.
Yeah.
So, well, we define life admin as the personal and household administrative tasks that make our lives work. So we're so keen to hear how life admin is handled in your household.
Well, I had to remind you girls that it's called FADMIN in my
That's
house.
right.
And there's 2 different versions of what the F stands for, but we call it family admin in our house. But I always call it the swear word admin because it tends to fall to me. And I think that I have always worn the admin organizer hat for my friends, for the workplaces I've been, for my family, all those type of things. So it's been natural sort of thing. But life admin or FADMIN, I think is very similar to business admin. You've got to have structures. You've got to have things being done regularly, consistently to move you forward to just the same as business goals, whether they be revenue goals or, growth or scale. The same with life admin. You've got to keep doing those little things for your health to get better or for, to send your kids to the school that you want to send them to or for the cat to get better because you keep forgetting to make the vet appointment that, has been sitting there on your task list forever and a day sort of thing. So managing kids, you throw in kids, then I've got 3 kids. So that's 3 different schedules as well as my own, my work schedules, my personal schedules, my husband's work schedules, his personal schedules. So we operate, a Google Calendar. Everyone's got a Google Calendar. Everyone's got an email. And I say if it doesn't arrive into mum's diary, it doesn't exist. So you don't go to the party. You don't go. you don't get to go to work that day. Like we just say, there's so many competing priorities. I don't know whether it's the perfect way to run my life admin, but I run it the same that I run my business admin. I have structure to when certain things need to be done. I've got a responsibility as a junior netball coach. I've got to put that time in the diary and I've got to put the travel time to get there to make sure that I'm not booking a client appointment over the top of it and all those type of things. So having a real clear, probably the important thing is that we probably shirk away from life admin and business admin at sometimes. We shirk away. So it's that consistency of always looking at your calendar, always looking at, dare I say it, your budget, your cash flow forecast. So my cash flow forecast for the business is the same spreadsheet as it is for my family as well. So I have an eye on the prize basically of when things are happening and need to happen and everything like that. So maybe it's just because I'm generically disposed to doing admin this way that's the only way that I know how to do it. It probably was not taught to me, which I think is probably a life skill that's missed for people.
Agree.
It'd be really good to, no one's born, I think, with admin skills. I mean, maybe I was born lazy, and but I've always been probably naturally a little bit of a leader, if that makes sense. Always a cheerleader and good team player and everything like that. So maybe that's where it came from. But certainly in my 20s, I probably wouldn't have known really how to do life admin well. So I don't think anyone should beat themselves up about not having the skills to know. No one knows how to do a job straight away type thing.
I do think some professions lend itself to becoming better at things like, life admin. So I think, accountants, for example, tend to be reasonably good. I guess I'd be interested to know from the people that you work with, are there some professionals that struggle the most or some professions that really, I guess, maybe their creative side makes it a bit harder for them to think in the systematic way that maybe admin demands of you?
Yeah, and they're probably the perfect client that comes to me. Do you know what I mean? Because they've been 2 to 3 years in business and they've realised, okay, I'm a creative. I'm not an admin person. I know what needs to be done. But I'm forever. Why don't I have money in the bank account? Because you haven't, sent out your invoices. Those type of things aren't natural to people. So I really try and help teach them basically. Okay, let's have a look at, like recording this podcast. You would have had to have known that we do podcasts at a certain time of the week or month. We're going to record them, but there's all those steps behind it that you need to do to organise the podcast. So when are you going to do that? So a lot of the time, when those type of clients come to me, they've never had a structure to what they do. They've started a business because they love it, and that, we talk about creatives and everything like that. They just need to be shown how to do it.
I'm smiling now because as a creative person, I'm going to highly disagree with
Oh,
both of you.
yeah.
But obviously your experience in terms of your clients that's the facts. But
I didn't say it's facts.
in terms of the kinds of clients you've had and what you've encountered, and they've been creatives and they've been disorganized.
Yeah.
But definitely it's not where they're focused. I don't think
it's disorganized. I think that creatives do have a special skill set that they actually have to allow more time to actually do creation than a number cruncher or someone else who's, professional services and stuff like that. So you need to allow more time for creation than
the making.
the making and the doing and all that type of stuff. So probably in your 38 hours, let's say, of a week or whatever you do, you probably have to allow more time than I would for creation, if that makes sense, as a creator.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
That fits better with me, thank you,
That's
Lee.
okay. I cater to everyone. Everyone comes to me as a blank slate, and it's my job to make sure that I've identified correctly what's holding you back, what your skills are, and everything like that, and enabling you to move forward.
Well, that's really interesting, sort of diagnosing where things are going wrong. So what do you notice? You notice so people like creatives who need more time for making, they're just not dedicating enough time to it, perhaps. What other things do you diagnose it?
Yeah, so it does come down to diary management a lot of the time, that they haven't actually factored in that Tuesdays they want to go do yoga, and that's not negotiable for their mental health and things like that. But then they then stop doing that, and then that's impacting on other sides of their lives and everything like that. Or their, time away from their children, that's impacting on other things. So I hate being a diary Nazi, but we have to be a diary Nazi. We have to protect our energy and have boundaries. And, like a lot of the time, I find a lot of my clients have trouble saying no. And I probably was guilty of that for a long time. And that the more you say yes to stuff that doesn't light you on fire or takes you away from what you want to do, the more you're living not your true life, if that makes sense. You're not comfortable. You're waking up every day. You're having that sense of dread, a little bit of, what am I doing? I'm on the hamster wheel. I'm doing all that type of stuff. So unpacking a lot of that and going, okay, what does your perfect week look like? What are you missing now that's not in your diary, that you're not committing to? You only want to work 3 days a week? Okay. Is your income currently what you're producing in those amount? You've only got available 15 hours or 20 hours to do that a week. What do you have to do? Do you have to up your prices to be able to do 3 days a week? Do you have to? Someone I know recently started working with me. We worked out that her income was down because she didn't have any structure to how many appointments of certain types that could be booked in her diary. And let's say it was a $20 appointment. She only had availability for, say, 10 appointments a week. She was getting filled up with $20 appointments rather than the $300 appointments that she was saying no to because everyone else had booked the $20 ones, sort of thing. So putting in some of those structures and hand holding them through the change, because it is change to say, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to do that. And, being the supporter and the champion of designing your work around how you want to work and how the life you want to live, sort of thing.
Yeah. I love that because it really honours why so many people go into business for themselves in the first place, because they're looking to either have some flexibility or they really want to focus on something they're passionate about.
Yep.
And yet, as you said, boundaries become an issue. You can't say no. Working on the activities that actually aren't the things that light them
Correct.
up.
Definitely.
That's
Yeah.
brilliantly helpful.
So I think we've had some great insight about scheduling, which, we talk about being as one of the most important pillars of anyone's life admin system. But I'd be keen to know what the other pain points are for small business owners when it comes to business admin.
Yeah, again, too busy in the biz,
Yeah.
doing all the things that take them off looking at the admin of the biz, if that makes sense.
Yeah. For listeners who aren't familiar with the idea of working in the business versus on the business, could you walk us through that?
Yeah, so on the business is basically like thinking time or time taking out of your working week to look at, okay, have you done your invoices? What's coming up in the week? Is my marketing happening? Am I doing my socials? Have I scheduled the newsletter? All those things that will actually do those marketing of your business that you need to do to bring people into your business or to sell the product that you're lovely running your business for, sort of thing. We can't run our business for payment of Maltesers and flowers, as one of my girlfriends sort of said, oh, but I love doing work for them. They pay me in Maltesers. I go, no, you need to pay a mortgage. But yeah, the business admin, it is draining. And sometimes people start businesses, and as I said, they don't have the skills or they're not. I didn't have the skills that I have today from, when I started the business. There was a huge learning curve, even though I had worked in places like accounting firms and banking and finance and real, I sort of had an idea of how the professional services sort of worked. But I think people running businesses don't or underestimate how much is involved in business admin, and that it's tough. Can be tough. It can be draining. And unless you have some structures and carve away, we talked about scheduling, carve away a regular time, you mightn't be able to do it during the week, but you might have to do it Sunday afternoon. You might have to do it Sunday night. I actually don't mind Sunday night it prepares me for the week ahead. I know that I can wake up Monday morning and have an idea of what my week's going to look like. That sort of gives me comfort.
And that Sunday nightly, are you looking at just the business side of things, or are you also looking at the life admin, like what's happening for the family during the week?
Life admin is very ad hoc at the moment because, how do I say this really nicely? He's not here. My husband's not here. He'll never listen to this podcast. He opts in and opts out of how much life admin he wants to do. And he goes, right, okay, I'm going to look after I'm going to make sure that, and I go through the list and no, it hasn't been done. So I use Google. I don't know if everyone's sort of, but I love the functions of task list on the side. You have your emails coming in, your task list, Lee's tasks, all the stuff that needs to be done. Talking about life admin, so I've been married 20 years. During that time, he has opted in and opted out of when he actually, no, I know you're busy. I'll look after this. And then, naturally it's going to be circling back to you. And now that we've been married for 20 years, he understands that. I go, is that really going to happen? Is that really? This is, I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure every household in Australia is having those conversations. Yeah, I think opposites attract. So my strengths are in managing the admin and everything like that. The best thing that I heard as far as life admin and a business owner is, and I learnt this through a business coaching program that I did last year, was you will always naturally have to do something life admin in your day. It's just a female thing. Whether you're looking after kids or you're a carer for a parent, you'll always have to do something. Their perfect diary was literally put in half an hour, repeats every day, and it just said, she called it stuff. She said stuff, because we can actually get pulled off doing our work knowing that I've got to ring the doctor. And if I don't ring the doctor, the tonsillitis is going to set in and all that type of stuff. But knowing that, okay, I can do that at 11 o'clock every day is my stuff. And I can jump on, make that appointment, check my personal emails, see what's come in, and then it's done, rather than, when you start something during the day and then you get distracted and I've got to do this, I've got to do that sort of thing. That's a brilliant idea, I think, as far as life admin. you got to do a little bit every day. And that's the same with business. It can look really overwhelming and over encompassing, and that creates anxiety.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of us, that I've got all this stuff to do. I've still got to go to work. I've got to do this and I've got to do that. But what is it? Eating the frog, doing one task a day will actually chip away at everything.
There's 2 points there that I think are worth drawing out, and that's sort of, you've had explicit conversations with your husband around life admin and come to an acceptance about the strengths and
Yes.
weaknesses of both of you. And, it sounds like while you can recognize that the load is you're carrying a lot of that load, there's an understanding between the two of you. And so that's sort of removing some of the friction that we hear from listeners about how these things go down, because so much is unsaid or there's so much expectation that's not really worked out.
Oh, yeah, it's said.
Yeah.
It's said.
That's the first thing. And the second thing was around scheduling, and just Dinah and I talk about
It's so romantic, isn't it?
having like an hour of power a week, or having these little 10-minute time killer activities where if you can approach it by thinking, all right, if I have some white space in my day, I know what I'm doing, or just blocking out that time, because inevitably there'll be things on that to-do list.
And so I've been together with my husband 20 years. In January this year was the first time we took ourselves, so my children are 18, 16 and 14. We took ourselves away to a cafe. We had to move. We went to 2 cafes because we could only be there for 2 hours or something like that. Can't think what the restrictions were then. But we basically sat down and had a D&M about, what do you want to do when you retire? Where do you think that we're going to live? We're lucky we still saw each other in the picture, but it was quite frightening to step into that, to go, well, this is really awkward. And I just thought, if I didn't do it now, so I'm turning 49, we needed to know what our plans were. I'd just done through this business coaching program, really wrote down, what does Lee in 5 years' time, what's she doing? What does the business look like? What does the thing? And we decided to translate that into, what does our life look like? Are we living here in Geelong? Like, do we keep this house? Do we move down to we want to move back down to Torquay and stuff like that. So, I like, because I'm heading towards, the end on my final runway, I sort of say that, of work. So my job in this business is to build it to get me off the tools, if that makes sense. But, to head into retirement comfortable. And like, I know that I need to be near the ocean. I know that I need to be able to glimpse a piece of sea every day, whether I can drive there. And that's a goal that we both need to have, if that makes sense, in as far as life admin.
And I'm thinking this sort of aligns, if you think about small businesses and people have a vision for that business, and they might have like a 1 year or a 3 year or a 5 year plan. And then you talked about working on the business and thinking about the admin and how the marketing's performing versus in the business. And there's a sort of this personal life equivalent to that, where you're thinking about, what
on
is
your
the
life?
How do you want to be living? And then on the business, the on the business side of that is, well, how do our weeks flow? How is time allotted, and where do we need to pay more attention and get more organised versus just being, in the day, in the household, and all of the tasks and the stuff that's going on.
Yeah, definitely, and I think my husband and I identified we still saw ourselves as the parents of young children. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas my daughter's going to first year university this year, but a lot of our decision making, I think, was blocked with, we're back at one income, where, I'm doing part-time work that's not very stable, all that type of stuff that was happening when, and we had breaks around having kids and doing all that type of stuff. So I think we're still back in that mindset, whereas we really needed to talk forward to ourselves and go, is that true, what we're saying, that we can't do this? Or is it just that we still identify with Lee and Jason 15 years ago rather than now, sort of thing? So it's an ever evolving, I think, relationship. Life admin will change with whatever stages you are in your life, I think. And what you discuss and what you do It's like my father passed away earlier this year. He was 6 hours away from me. I now have his ashes. We recently had Father's Day, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I think I need to put a memorial somewhere, close to me so I can visit him. But then the lady was asking me, did I want to consider a family plot? And I'm like, that's just another life admin. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just another.
It is end of life admin. It's another whole episode, Lee. So
And I'm like to Jason, but I want to be cremated and you want to be buried. I don't like the idea of someone more so that's on the life admin discussions for the next,
it is. It
what
is.
do we
We have found that some people, they kind of look around and they realize, oh, I'm still operating my life admin as if I was a single child-free adult. And
Yes,
here I am with
yes.
two teenagers in a family, and it's not working. And it's,
No.
we need to update in terms of the ages and the stages and the complexity, to your
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. And teaching the teenagers that they have to be responsible for the impacts. Mum and dad can't drop everything just because Sally's got a pool party. You can go to Sally's pool party,
Yeah.
but please book it in so that, dad and I know who can do it, who can,
Yeah.
all that type of stuff. So my daughter sometimes helps me with admin, and I can see that they've picked up on some of it, sort of thing. And I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe I have imparted some of my knowledge to them, like that. If it's not in the diary, it doesn't exist, like, here's your email addresses, email them, ask them, like one of my daughters is wanting a hair appointment now that it's opening up here in regional Victoria. I'm like, will you contact them? We've got to enable our kids as much as we can, I think, and support them through, because they're not going to learn these skills. Well, depends. They might have a really good teacher who teaches them time management skills and, like planning out their diary and stuff like that. But, that's another whole ball game, is
Yeah.
helping kids through studying.
Yeah, it's something Dana and I have talked about because we're quite passionate about equipping kids with these life admin skills. Like time management, productivity is one thing, but
Yep.
if a kid's moving out of home to go to uni when they're 18, how do they know how to compare electricity providers, pick a plan?
Yeah.
Or how do they
Yep.
know what to do with their super and what kinds of insurances they need?
Yep.
Like this, we would like to
Yep.
educate through school in that way.
There's needs to be another thing after school, I reckon, a year of not going into the army, but going into life
The
skills
school of
university.
life. Yeah, the school of life.
Yeah.
How to manage a household.
Yep.
And
Here's your budget. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing. And they have a test
feed
family,
yourself and clothe yourself.
to look after, or something like that.
Yeah.
And just understanding that there's sort of day-to-day life admin that just keeps your household ticking over. And then there's all the life admin triggered by life events, like you were saying with your father passing away. I'm sure leading up, the care of him, depending how it happened. But, that end of life planning, or even organising funerals and cremation. And there's so much life admin wrapped up in that life event.
It did impact on business. I just had to have time to be human. And fortunately, some clients, that wasn't quick enough for them. So, then we talk about letting things go to allow the right people into your space and energy and all that type of stuff. So people are caring for elderly parents and, trying to do everything as well as, their own family, their growing family and stuff like that. So there's a lot that falls on, I'm going to say women. It falls on women. Let's just say, a lot that falls on our shoulders. The load.
The load. So I think that's a good segue into thinking about outsourcing. And I guess, when people come to you, they're outsourcing part of what often they were already doing themselves. So I'd be really interested to know, and we have done a whole episode on outsourcing. So episode 22, listeners, if you want to go back and listen to that. But why do you think people struggle to outsource?
Sometimes the first discovery call I have with people feel shame. People feel that they should be equipped to be able to handle things. And unless they know, or they've had a good role model or someone has helped them, the small business owners sometimes feel that they should, "Oh, this is silly, I should be able to handle this." We're not all built the same. We all have different skills and strengths and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that holds people back. People sometimes are too scared to let people into their business. They might feel threatened, but a lot of it does come from, feeling inadequate, that they can't solve this problem themselves, or they can't find the solution. Being an online business manager or an OBM, sometimes my relationship with clients is just once a week, going through what's happening in the business. What stopped you? What problem have you got? And here's the solution. Go away and implement it. And we talk about it next week. How did that feel? How are you feeling now? So I try and cover the whole gambit of, yes, the business, but how are you actually feeling? Especially in today's climate, it is slowly impacting on people. People are feeling anxiety probably for the first time, and I'll put my hand up and just say, last year was the first time that I'd ever thought, Lee, you can't control a global pandemic. You can normally organise your way out of things, but I have not got the answers for that, and that was quite unsettling for me. I feel better now. I felt better once I got my first vaccination. Like, I felt it go down. I'm feeling even better now that, I'll have 4 people in the family vaccinated, sort of thing. That's just my personal opinion. I don't judge or anything like that. But yeah, it is a lot of, or they don't understand what outsourcing can actually bring to them. They're thinking that, I'm not going to pay X amount of dollars because I'm not going to get that back, maybe. But are you going to actually get a relationship back with your family? Are you actually going to get a relationship back with your husband? Are you, are you going to sleep better at night? Is your health going to be better? There's other things to look at rather than just the cost of dollar value outcome.
That's a good point, is that it isn't just the dollar cost, is it? It's the opportunity cost of what else we could be doing.
Definitely. You don't get time back. You don't get time back when your kids are young. I created this job, probably this business, out of a health reason that was probably accelerated because I chose work probably over health. So I'm a big believer of, is it serving you? Is it getting you to where you want? Oh yeah, your business is really successful, but look at you. You're anxious, you're not sleeping, you're not, so how can we fix that? This is how we fix this, sort of thing. So looking at all the outcomes that outsourcing anything, you will receive results. Something will come back to you, even if it is just time to have a break, time to have lunch because someone else is doing that thing that I work through to do.
So what factors do people need to consider when they're deciding to outsource?
They need to be ready, do a little bit of preparation as far as, right, okay, I always say, do a bit of a task audit. That is basically, I would just say, write down on a piece of paper everything you do in a day. Have a think about, how am I feeling when I'm doing it? Am I like gritting my teeth and going, oh my God, I've got to do this now? Every time you do that, that's probably a little bit of a star. Like, maybe I could outsource that. Working out exactly if there is any time wastage, because there might be stuff that you're doing that you go, I could actually just do that all at once rather than 5 times during a day. Could be, I'll only look at my emails between a certain time, because then that will allow me to focus on other things. When we talk about preparing to work with an outsourced resource, it's not necessarily VA. It could be with a graphic designer. It could be with a podcast editor or anything like that. What your process is, how you do it, and how you want it to be done. What are the timings? How often do you think you need it done? A good OBM and a VA, we basically come in and design the work with you, if that makes sense. So we work out, you want something done on a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday. You want these tasks achieved and everything like that. So probably just making sure that you have a little bit of a job description for each task that you want done. If you know that it's on a computer, make sure you take opportunities of things like Loom video recording that actually records. You can actually talk through how you actually do something and save that. And you might be doing that for one outsourced resource, but that then saves as part of your business. It becomes part of your processes and your systems, how you do stuff. Be aware that the person you're outsourcing may not know everything about your business in the first hour of working with them. It's going to take a while. It should be by about week 2 or week 3. They should know enough about your business, have investigated what's happening, should be asking questions of, Mia, this is not working. What are you actually doing here? I think you're missing a step, all those type of things. But you still you should start seeing some outcomes from your outsourcing by about then, but just allowing time.
And this is all good stuff to keep in mind if you're going to outsource your life admin as well, in terms of having that preparation and that patience, outsourcing to a professional, or even outsourcing to someone else in your family. Like if you used to do it and you're delegating it to someone else, having that same preparation and approach, instead of expecting them to instantly get it and do it to your
Yes.
standard,
Yeah. I'm a very big believer of, I know they're not going to do it to my standard. We talk about life admin or, like looking after the kids, or, I would never send instructions of needs to be, unless it was a health issue. But do you know what I mean? Like, yes, they're probably going to eat the wrong thing and they go, but that allows me to actually, especially people looking after my kids while I had to earn an income, or, so I can actually have a night out with my husband for the first time in a year or something like that. Like, feed them whatever you want. Like, we'll come back and deal with it, like it's all okay. But, like,
Yeah, just focus on the most important, the standards that are sort of the minimum acceptable, we like to call them. What's the minimum acceptable standard, so that, you can sort of let it go.
Yeah, I just want to hear if there's blood or if you're at the hospital. Like, that's,
So, Lee, is it possible to outsource all of your business admin?
Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people really go, I'm just worth, my dollar value is worth doing all my consulting. People can build whole teams in remote out teams now, and that's what COVID has done too. Unfortunately, offices have closed, leases have been let go of offices, so businesses have had to work out how I'm actually going to run a remote team. Their incomes might have halved too, so there's a lot of rebuilding happening in businesses across Australia, and a lot of people are realising maybe I'll just start taking little steps and just work with an outsourced team, if that makes sense. So you only have to look at a lot of business coaches. They build in, as needed and as required type requirements. They might have an OBM who's managing the resources. So rather than the business coach managing, it's the OBM that actually manages the team. They might be looking after a social media VA. They might be looking after a podcast VA. They might be looking after, Kajabi, the people that upload onto the course platform.
Oh, what's that?
Kajabi is like
What's Kajabi?
it's a website. People deliver their courses on it. It's a bit of a CRM. It's an all singing, all dancing type thing.
Oh, right.
They outsource their bookkeeping, they outsource their, accounting, everything. There's people that they might even have a chief financial officer who is outsourced. Their legal team might be a online, someone running a legal profession online and remotely type thing. So definitely can be done. And the same with life admin. I'm ready to I'm trying to outsource the washing, folding.
Yeah.
Well, there are services now, interestingly, where you can have your laundry taken away and delivered, folded up. So
correct. There's actually 3 teenage girls that I can actually outsource.
Insourcing to family members also.
Yeah, someone's trying to negotiate out of doing the dishes. Could I not do the dishes anymore? Can I swap to washing? I said, yeah, but it's not just putting it in the washing machine. It's the it's the hanging and the folding. She's still not 100% sure whether she can commit to the whole lot. But yeah, that would be my dream, would be the washing fairy.
Nice one. I think that's, the idea of outsourcing housework. I mean, childcare often outsourced already. Housework, yes. Laundry, meal prep, cleaning, life admin, definitely. It all falls in that domestic labour bucket. Can get other people. Not the parenting part of looking after kids. But
there are personal assistant VAs that are out there that if anyone's having trouble with life admin, that will actually jump in, pay your bills, do those phone calls and stuff like that. If that's, not in your wheelhouse and, your hour that you would allocate to that is served better, do it. And then it's done and it's consistent and you'll get regular results.
So, Lee, when you're working with entrepreneurs or freelancers or business owners and their life admin is out of control, where do you suggest is a practical place to start?
First of all, I'd see if their business admin is out of control as well too, because then that will actually tell a story. Is it time or is it the skills or there's no structure to both of them, if that would say. But if their life admin out of control is I would ask them, are you carving out time in your day? How often do you regularly check or do the tasks? Are you actually even focusing on them regularly? All that type of stuff. So we try and convince them to carve out some time in their day or their diary or regular time a week, set up some of those, right, what's the most important thing? Your power is going to be cut off if you do not. I'm a very big believer of, look at your 12 months, how much you actually spent, let's divide it by 12 and set up an auto payment. Like, very rarely do I ever go and have to pay a bill, because I have normally done the analysis at some stage, normally once a year, gone like you would do in your business, do an analysis of the cost, divide it by 12 and try and put away regular amounts, BPay, so that I can afford it, basically. You still need to look at it. So, people sometimes don't apply that business mindset to their life. I can't see any difference, but that's me personally. I can't see any difference.
Well, I think that's, it's from an admin professional. You need to have a professional approach to your life admin. So I think that's an awesome place for us to finish up today, Lee. So thanks so much for sharing your experience and ideas with us. It's been such a pleasure having the conversation.
No worries. Thanks for having me. And I do want you girls to please use Fadmin. Please take that word and run with it. I want to hear it on some podcasts.
We'll definitely call it the episode title. So this will be the Fadmin episode.
The Fadmin.
But where could our listeners find you if they want to hear more about you, or if they're looking for an online business manager or virtual assistant?
There's my website, so it's adminandco.com.au, so it's adminandco.com.au. My Insta handle is the same, and my Facebook is the same as well. So would welcome anyone to make contact with me. I'd love to help anyone who even just wants to have a quick chat. I can normally sort of assess where you're at quickly and give you some quick solutions.
Thanks for listening. Show notes for this episode are available at lifeadminlifehacks.com. And if you're a fan, please subscribe and share the love and tell a friend, or review us in your podcasting app. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.